everyone. This is Carrie from Carrie on Accessibility, and today we're going to talk about accessibility in retail, the problems, some of the solutions, and some of our own unique solutions. This video is going to be premiered, so I and my special guest, which I will introduce in a moment, are going to be in the live chat right now, so you can still interact with us there, even though this isn't live. So without further ado, I want to welcome Cindy from Seeing Blind. Hey, Cindy.
Hello, Carrie. Hi, everybody.
So I'm really excited for this topic. I think it's a pretty hot topic for everybody in the blind community and even just in the disability community as a whole. And me and Cindy have been friends for quite a while. We both have YouTube channels. We're both blind moms. We both work in the accessibility field. But enough of me talking. Cindy, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Cindy, and my handle is Seeing Blind. So yeah, I started out with a YouTube channel several years ago, and then I sort of spread out across all the platforms on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and then so next thing you know, I'm kind of creating content a little bit here and there everywhere. And I love sharing tips, tricks, hacks, and of course, discussing accessibility. So I'm an accessibility tester as well as Carrie, and we both just really have a very strong passion for educating, raising awareness, and talking about how accessibility just really needs to come a lot farther to really be inclusive and to improve our overall experiences in the world, out and about, and in our own home. So I was really thrilled to collaborate with you today, Carrie, because this is a very important topic, and we're going to be doing a very similar continuation of this topic as well over on my channel. So hopefully you'll be able to pop over there and catch that premiere as well to continue the conversation as we apply accessibility in retail to accessibility in entertainment, and kind of looking and exploring all the entertainment inside and outside the home. So yeah, it's going to be a great discussion today.
It is. I'm really excited to go and talk on Cindy's channel. So definitely follow the links down in the description, in the comment, in the pinned comment. So let's get straight into it. What do you think are some of the biggest problems when it comes to retail? And let's try to stick with more physical goods like household items, even like groceries and foods and furniture, home goods, that kind of stuff. What do you think are some of the major problems when it comes to accessibility?
Yeah, for me, I'll get to food and like kitchen pantry stuff in a bit. But I feel like, as the digital era continues to grow and progress in wonderful ways, it's also introducing a lot of barriers for those with disabilities, not just us in the blind community, but across the disabled community as a whole. For example, we're getting a lot of touchless, like digital screens that are completely clear. They're smooth,
Mhm.
so there's no tactile indicator, so we're having to really go through a lot of extra steps to make a lot of products in our homes accessible, whether that's using bump dots or braille labels or anything like that. And it's really kind of disappointing that these companies aren't realizing that even with someone with, say, Parkinson's disease, really kind of struggles, their fingers are shaking so much, it's very difficult for them to line up, their finger specifically on a digital screen that's smooth, that doesn't have like a tactile button for them to touch and then push when they know they're on the correct setting. So it's not just our community that's struggling in this area. But
Absolutely.
yeah, these digital touch, smooth screens have been an issue for me. I'd say the last decade at least.
Yeah. And the way they've tried to circumvent the accessibility issue here is by creating apps, right? And those are not always accessible. Whether you're
Right?
using switch access or something like that for dexterity challenges, or if you're using talkback or voiceover, there's a whole lot of inaccessible buttons and labels and all sorts of things on those apps.
Right. It's like, while I so appreciate they're clearly moving in the right direction in developing the apps to go with their products to make them more smart and more convenient, they don't fully execute the full capability that the app can provide the disabled community because they don't completely make it accessible for voiceovers. So next thing you'll turn on a screen reader in the app and it'll just say button, button, button,
Oh
button,
my god.
button, or for example. And so it's like, oh man, you're all set up for this great accessible experience. Like, okay, I may not be able to see every preset on this appliance, but hopefully I can open up the app and be able to select it and control it that way with my built-in accessibility things on my device. And then you get it, you download the app, and then next thing you know, you realize, well, crap, the app isn't accessible. So it's
Mhm.
like there's not a full, completion of the execution in that design.
And the thing is, there's two major problems that I can think of. Is first is sometimes the app is pretty accessible, like maybe not perfect, but it's usable. But then an update comes along and breaks everything, right? And I was listening to a podcast the other day where they were talking about a the Libra, it's a device that you put on your arm for people who are diabetic, right? And the app is supposed to tell you what your blood sugar is and track that for you. And
Yes,
so it
I've
keeps
heard of it.
going back and forth on its accessibility. And especially when it comes to something that important, that's a huge issue. The other problem is, what if we don't have internet? All these devices are connected to the internet. What happens when my router goes down or my internet provider is having a problem? Am I just not supposed to use that thing, my air fryer or my washer or my whatever, because it's inaccessible? It's like solves part of the problem, but not completely.
Yes, yes, you're still dependent on internet, on power,
Mhm.
and such. Yeah, and so there is still a flaw in that system of accessibility, and it's like I appreciate it. At least it's
Mm,
something,
mhm.
though maybe not 100% reliable, but it's definitely moving in a direction. But you're right, it's still flawed. Before I share a solution that's not dependent on internet, I guess, is there any other issues that we can think of? For
Yes.
example, furniture. Oh, when you're looking at furniture, it's like a whole nother price point when you start to try to filter the results by things that are already assembled, right? Because half the time, it's the assembly that I am struggling with because number one, the manuals there's no digital.
Even if it is digital, it's not accessible. It's just gonna be pictures.
Right. Or the screen, or it's not in a format that is accessible for a screen reader. So now I'm okay. But then it always boils down to economics at this point. It's like, okay, then I have to move my price point way up, to be able to
Mm,
afford a piece of furniture that already is
yeah.
assembled.
Or pay for assembly.
Yes, I was about to say some areas, there are external kind of third party services that you can request to have them come and assemble your product for you for an additional fee, but that generally is not offered in my area. So it's really dependent on your location.
Yeah, and even before that, finding enough information to pick a piece of furniture or a home good or anything, a lot of these apps and websites and stores, they don't give a good description. If you're trying to shop online, it is incredibly difficult Like they'll tell you certain things like, oh, it's made of this specific type of wood or this type of material. And maybe it'll tell you that, like the other day I was looking for a desk, right? And it told me I have 3 drawers. And I'm like, but where are those? Where are they? How big are they? And a lot of
Yes.
those things are in the picture
Yes.
and it's not accessible. So
Yes.
just finding that, that's a challenge.
Yes. I definitely agree that there is a huge lack of detailed description. It's kind of like they'll write, 2 big huge paragraphs, but it's full of all these like fluff
Oh
words
my
and
gosh, yeah.
like filler things that actually don't give
Mhm.
you hardly any of the actual detail that we're looking for. As it's like, can you write the description as if there was no image and
Yeah.
describe the product to me? And that's another issue that they just don't understand. Pretend there are no images. Now
Mhm.
describe the product to me.
And the thing is that people say, alt text should cover that area, and it's not enough. It's not enough to just describe the picture. We It would be so much better if it's actually in the description and the specifications of the product that you could read.
Mhm.
And maybe there's other reasons to do that as well, for maybe even SEO, and it's not just based on the picture alone, but some people may not be able to load those pictures, or have a device that's capable of doing it. It would
Right.
just be better overall for clarity. And also, what they say is, don't go by the picture. At least when you go shopping, it doesn't always match the picture. So if we
Right.
had an actual textual description, that would be so much better.
Right. Right. That's another big issue. And especially like colors, like I don't see colors very well. And so it's like, I hate it when I'm like, trying to choose things for the home, whether it's bedding or whether it's furniture, or whether it's some appliance or something. And it's like they'll just have like some color swatches of, on the screen, but they're not labeled. Or there's no
Mm.
description of like, oh, this is like a light gray with some beige undertones.
Or they'll say ocean.
Yes, yes. Some like vague, trendy, catchy, color, but I'm like, color name, and I'm like, okay, but seriously, like, can you describe that color to me more? Like, or they just won't have any description, no label, no nothing. It's just a color swatch on the screen, and I'm like, okay, is that blue or is that black? I don't know because it
Mhm.
doesn't tell me. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, there's so much progress that could be made in this area.
And the thing is too, on every screen, it could be a slightly different color. If you look at like a
Right.
Samsung phone versus an iPhone versus like a monitor, that color is going to shift. And so you never actually know for sure what that color is, or when they take a picture with their camera and post that as a product picture, right? Like how many
Right.
times do we take pictures with our phone cameras and that picture doesn't always match the actual physical life product. So it's the same thing.
Yep. And that's especially with clothing,
Oh.
that's definitely an issue with clothing. And I've almost had to, especially, during the pandemic and even still post pandemic, a lot of my shopping, I still, for clothes
Mhm.
and different things around the house, majority of it I still have to do online due to transportation issues and such. And it is so frustrating when you order something and you think it's one color, or you think it's going to feel this way, or lightweight or heavyweight or something, something in the description or what you're perceiving with whatever functional ability that you have this kind of expectation of the product, and then when it comes in it's completely different. And it's not that you can say, oh, this product was falsely represented or not, just, because maybe a fully sighted person caught that and I didn't. And so I don't necessarily want to call them out on it, but at the same time, it's clearly not what I was expecting because there just wasn't enough information that really helped represent the product in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it's a whole other mm, level when it comes to food. That's
Oh, yes.
you have things like seeing AI, you can use a barcode, right? Depending on the database, you have some information and sometimes you have instructions, sometimes you don't. If you don't have seeing AI, then what are you supposed to do then?
Right,
You could use Google Lookout. It's actually easier to scan things, but it gives you a lot less information. Even seeing AI doesn't give you everything. Like, what if you're allergic to certain things?
right.
Is it gonna read that to you? What about all of the marketing and effort that's put into the actual boxes, right? Like, when I was little, my brother just stared at the cereal box, I'm like, "What's so fascinating about the back of the cereal? What is
Right?
it?" Things like that that I feel like I'm just so missing out on.
Yeah. And it's one of those things too. It's like, the whole world is moving towards, like, there's barcodes, and then there's QR codes, and then we were going to discuss later down the road, maybe the Novilens, it has its own separate codes. And we're starting to, in this, I guess, in an effort to address accessibility, they're starting to, pop up these new systems and codings. But then next thing you know, okay, what code is on this product and which app am I going to have to open, and this slew of options to get the information that I need. And it's one of those
Yeah.
things where it's like, okay, do I just need to do a Google search and pour through all of that information and results to try to find the needle in the haystack of the information I'm actually wanting? I wish there was some sort of standardized, accessible approach
Mm.
to labeling and coding products so that we know there's one app to open, and we can quickly tab through to the information that we're looking for, whether it's directions, whether it's instructions, whether it's ingredients, and allergens, you name it, how many calories, and all that stuff. That's another thing. At times, when I'll pull up Seeing AI and I'll, like, scan a product, it's like I have to listen for 5 minutes at times before I'm actually given this section of information I'm actually wanting.
Is the answer, integrating ChatGPT and Bing into everything?
Yes.
And AI, because you could just be like, imagine a world where you have one assistant and one device, and you can just be like, point it at something. How many calories does this have? And then it, like, I don't know, does its quote magic and it just spits it out to you. Obviously, right now, that is not a possibility, and you can't really trust
Yeah.
AI at all, if you can ever. I don't know if that will be something that we can in the future, but that is one futuristic idea that maybe one day that would work.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of solutions, going back to the appliances, I was thinking one solution that I was kind of holding on to is, I really wish companies would, if they're not going to create like some sort of QR code on their manual, and or they don't have an app that's accessible, then at least give us some sort of like sticky overlay that is designed to line up specifically on that product, so that if you want a tactile surface, then the overlay is provided for you with that product that you can just stick onto the surface display, and it still, be interactive, still be fine, but there are finely tactile indicators on that overlay that allows you to then operate the machine with some texture on it. And I'm like, you know what, that would be like $1 or $2 for them to include that, if that, with their products, especially if it has a digital touch screen like that.
I think it depends if the touchscreen is very dynamic and different buttons change position all the time. That would be something that
Yeah.
would be really challenging. But for example, like my air fryer, the buttons don't actually change, right? That would be, I think, a really good place that you could put it on. Or my washer, which has like these buttons, except they're not actual buttons because you don't push them, you just like tap on them. It's a bane of my existence as well, of my laundry existence.
Yes, because you're like scanning for my dryer and laundry is the exact same way. Like as I have to touch to find where I have added.
And then you've like accidentally pressed a bunch of other buttons.
Exactly. Next thing you know, it's like ding and ding and ding at me, and I'm like, no, I'm just trying to find my bump dot. Like I'm not pushing buttons. But so
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like overly so sensitive.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. Yeah.
It's like the way I try to get around that is like I go from the edge of the buttons, right, where it's empty space, and try to go in that direction, but it's still
Mhm.
really hard. It's definitely a challenge. So before we go into like more ideas of solutions, what are some solutions that you've seen people try to implement now?
Well, let's see. I feel like everyone is pretty caught up on the whole bump dot system and using tactile adhesive markers, which they can be bump dots. You can get gym stickers at the dollar store. You can use those little bumper pads for cabinets. There's lots of little, adhesive ways of puff paint, you name it.
Mhm.
So I feel like most people are pretty familiar with that system and adapting it in a way to help them navigate these different types of surfaces that don't have actual tactile buttons, or we can't see the buttons even if they are tactile.
Some manufacturers have been trying to put Braille on their products. Was it you who told me about the company that sells chocolate and it
Yeah,
has Braille on
Purdy.
it?
Mhm. Yeah, Purdy's Chocolate is a Canadian company. I think they have like 80 plus stores throughout Canada. I don't think they have any stores located in the States, but when I last I looked at their website, they did ship to the United States. Yeah, so Purdy's Chocolate is the first kind of candy chocolate company to actually include a Braille legend with your box of chocolates, because it's so common. Well, for Valentine's Day, for example, I was given
Mm-hmm.
a box of chocolates and had absolutely no way of being able to determine which chocolate I was selecting. It was definitely one of those
Yeah.
mystery approaches, like trial
Yes.
and error. Am I going to like this one? We'll see. Because I can't read the legend. And you
Hmm.
open up Seeing AI and other apps and
They
stuff, and
can't process something like that, though.
no,
No.
not when it's that abstract, that it's not formatted or in a column or any kind of way that it can decipher that. I mean, it's
Like
just
it'll read it to you, but you have no idea which one is where. Like what?
right, right. So yeah, they are the first company that I've seen to provide a Braille legend, and they even have Braille in their packaging as well. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
kudos
Hmm.
to them. It's the first company I've seen to really go the extra mile in accessibility, and I believe they even address like um, fine motor skills and people who may have issue opening up packages as well. So it also, I believe, is accessible in that way of actually opening the package and the seal and getting to the chocolates.
Now I want some chocolate. Thanks.
I know. No.
They also have there's like a makeup brand that has something either tactile markings or braille or something.
Yeah, I think there's several that even like shampoo and conditioners. I know Herbal Essence, I think, has a little tactile type of indicator on which is which. Um, and also, Estee Lauder just released a new makeup AI app. I think it's called like your makeup assistant app, but it is currently only available in the UK. So I am extremely excited and just I can't wait for it to be launched in the United States. Hopefully, I think last I read, it should hopefully be available in later 2023. So hopefully later this year we'll see that roll out in the States. Yeah, makeup and just any kind of personal care and grooming companies are really starting to take accessibility seriously. I think it was maybe LA Girl or one of the other makeup things. They were talking about how they've made their lipstick applicators designed completely differently so that it's more accessible for individuals with physical motor issues to still be able to apply their lipstick if they have a type of motor impairment with fine or gross motor skills. And yeah, so lots and lots of progress is starting to finally come to fruition, I
Mhm.
think, in the beauty and self-care industry. So I'm very, very excited to see that. And in adaptive wear as well.
I've seen a demo of the Estee Lauder app, and it is really cool. I don't know how it does it. It's like it scans your face. You can ask it to do whether it's your foundation or eye makeup or your lipstick and things like that, like different processes. And
Mhm.
they'll also give you instructions for like best
Yes.
practices of how to do that. And I think it's really cool. I won't be doing a video on that unless I have like somebody to actually do it for me because I am not your go-to when it comes to makeup because I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe Cindy, you can come back when it's out and go demo it for us.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not a makeup expert myself. I am a fan. It's a hobby. I enjoy doing it, but there's
Mhm.
definitely others that do it much better than me and know a lot more. But I am very, very excited because, one of the things that I struggle with as far as products and things like that, number one, I never quite know. Like maybe I'm kind of towards the end of a product, it applies heavier on one side and not the other. Or I've applied too much on one side and I haven't blended it out well, whatever the case may be. This app is supposed to assist you in helping you
Mhm.
match, making sure everything is even, or if you've applied too much or too little, and assist you in making sure you've corrected everything appropriately. And man, let me tell you, I have walked out of this house with like mascara, like marks on one side, or a big old black dot on my nose from the mascara wand, or whatever the case may be, or
Yeah.
picking out the wrong shade of foundation and or blush or whatever the case may
Oh
be.
my
I've done
goodness,
it all.
yeah.
I've made all those mistakes, and so hopefully this app is going to help us in this area. And I think there's so much potential and possibility because we kind of have a focus on the blind and visually impaired community because we're two blind moms, but I always try to keep an extra perspective open for the rest of the disabled community, for those who have other impairments that impact their accessibility
Mhm.
and preferences and such as well.
And
And
there's also people who are not only blind but have other challenges
yeah,
together, right?
yes,
Mhm.
I mean, blindness, visual impairments and low vision is actually one of the most common dual diagnoses to be paired with, whether
Mm.
it's a learning disability, whether it's, a social emotional issue, whatever struggle, whenever there's dual diagnoses, I feel like I statistically have heard that low vision and blindness is typically one of the more common secondary or primary, however you want to stack them,
Mhm.
paired diagnoses. What's great about accessibility, that if you can make it accessible for the blind, you're typically addressing a lot of other needs as well, whether it's those with learning, cognitive processing, a lot of other impairments as well. It's one of those things where I don't want to paint us this whole episode in a box where we're only focusing on the blind and visually impaired, because
Mhm.
accessibility is something that we try to strive for, and apply it to all. And so that there's as much accessibility for all as we can physically make it. And yeah, there's a lot of great work being made.
That's what accessibility is. It's access to more people, the most people possible. As somebody who has a brother who is deaf and a father who is hard of hearing and family members that have other physical challenges, it's important not to just insulate yourselves in the blind community. I mean, though it's definitely important, right? But it's not the only thing out there that we want to build accessibility for.
Right. And maybe a design that is accessible for individuals with severe arthritis actually ends up benefiting me as well. For
Mhm.
example, one of my product discoveries that I do a lot of product testing, a lot of reviews. I'm starting to work with a lot of different brands, sending product and giving reviews. And typically I'll, try to release the ones that I like. And if I don't like it, I'm like, here's this product, but you won't hear me recommend it. Yeah, I'm not going to say I recommend it. Here's this product though. But if I truly like it, if it truly checks the boxes for me, then I will say like, hey, this gets 2 thumbs up for me. And one of those, there's several different brands. There's several different types of companies that sell this product that all kind of do the same thing, and that is these little toothpaste. They're like self-sealing silicone type of material that you put on your toothpaste cap. And it was actually marketed for individuals with arthritis or an impairment with their fine motor skills, that they could not open and close the caps or squeeze the tube successfully and consistently, that they would either get way too much toothpaste out or too little, and it's just a constant struggle for them with their hands. And so this little cap that you put on the end of your toothpaste was self-sealing, and it helped dispense the toothpaste evenly. And I'm like, wait, that's just not for individuals with arthritis. Like, that could help me as a blind mom who can't see. And I've got kids who are constantly making a huge mess with toothpaste in the bathroom, right? I mean,
Toothpaste
seriously. And so
everywhere.
that became, I was like, it's a $6 for like a pack of 3. And I'm like, winner right there. And just finding things like that I absolutely love. I'm just like, oh, it makes me so happy. And I mean, it's like, it's so funny because I found this mommy product too that's like these faucet extenders. And I'm like, wait. This isn't just for toddlers. I'm thinking of wheelchair users that can never reach the sink because they've made them so tall. And so now their hands can't even get under the faucet. So a faucet extender. I mean, like, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many products out there that are maybe marketed or designed for one thing, but is undiscovered in a way because it can totally meet a need and address
Mhm.
an issue within the disabled community. So those are my happy days when I find
That
those.
is awesome. And Cindy's really good at finding those kinds of things. So
I try. I explore a lot.
you're gonna have to send us that link so we can share that, because that's really cool. So on back to some other solutions that either companies have implemented or that we use, right? There's, like we've been mentioning throughout this video, is just using an OCR app like Lookout or Seeing AI or Envision AI or any of those, right? That is an option. Seeing AI has a barcode scanner option, and Google Lookout does have the food label option. And sometimes I find it kind of depends on the product, but sometimes just using the short text can be faster than um, the barcode or the food label, because you're just looking for something specific, and you can, depending on your vision, kind of turn it the way that you think it might be, like in this part of the product. It can be faster sometimes to just do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes if I am able to do that, yeah. I have to say though, formatting can really
Oh yeah.
impact. For example, like if it's instructions or directions on a label, food label or something, and it's in
Oh my
like 2 or 3
gosh.
different columns, or
Mhm.
there's like a picture of a measuring cup.
Why would you put yellow text on a white background. I'm sorry. I just did that the other day, and I'm like, "Well, who designed this? Like, how do sighted people see this?"
Right,
And then I brought it to my mom, and she's like, "Oh, hold on. Let me put my glasses on." And I'm like, you know,
right,
it's hard for
right.
them. I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, if a fully sighted person is struggling, how are they expecting anyone who's technically low vision or on the spectrum of blindness to see this? And I hate it too when they'll put product pictures on their packaging and then put the text over the
Oh,
images.
mhm.
And I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
wait, I think I see part of a word, but where's the rest of it? And it's
yeah.
because it's like white text, like you say on it, it's like the color contrast is lost. There's no standards, there's no
Mm,
guidelines. We have the guidelines for web accessibility. I mean, that's what our professions are in. You know, we're the W, what is it, Web
WCAG.
Content Accessibility Guidelines, the
Mhm.
WCAG, but we don't have anything standardized guidelines like that for packaging in the retail and marketing sectors. And I really
Mhm.
think this has got to be addressed. There has to be some standards clearly set here because otherwise these issues are going to continue and OCR is flawed as well. I mean,
Yes.
there's times, for example, even the products label scanners. I used scanned a label on a product, and I think it was like a spice. And I was trying to figure out which spice I was, was holding in my hand. And I think it was like Italian herb or something. And it read onion.
Ooh, really?
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, clearly it was just mislabeled within the database,
Mhm.
but still little mistakes like that are made. And so it's kind of like, okay, at some point then we have to just come to an agreement on a set of standard guidelines to help address and bring all of these accessibility things um, onto the
Yeah.
so everyone's on the same page and has the same expectations.
So one thing that Navilens, which is an app that uses a it's kind of like QR codes, except it can be scanned from a lot further in lower light situations and things like that. They have partnered with Kellogg. I think it's only in the UK though. I'm not sure exactly, but they brought in Navilens codes on all the different products. And I think that's a good idea, except if we go down that route, there's going to be like, what app am I supposed to use? Because there's going to be other companies, right? They're like, oh, how about you partner with us to make it more accessible? This is the problem in indoor navigation space. You have right here, you have Lazarillo, you have Good Maps, and all of them are mapping different locations. And so you're like, okay, what app am I supposed to use where? And that's going to be the same problem with like packaged goods. If somebody doesn't come up with a standard, which could be just QR codes, because it's on the internet, they could make like a standard, like a web page or layout or design that they can put all the information right there, and it could help people who are blind or visually impaired, but it could also help anybody, right? They could get more information about this product, and it could just be universal. I think the universal aspect is incredibly important.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. And I think having a universal standardized approach is really the way to go because you're right. I mean, it's like, okay, say you're new to sight loss. Wait, I have to download 20 apps that essentially do the same thing. Okay, how do I know which? I mean, it's hard enough to adjust to life with low vision, but then tacking on all of the various technologies and stuff that you have to then become acclimated to as well, and then trying to figure out which one to use at any given moment, it's ridiculous. That is unacceptable. That's not the direction that the retail
Mhm.
sector needs to be heading in. Is not the answer. It'd be great if Navilens and QR codes merged, and to even like, so for example, with Navilens, I was watching a video and it had someone, just kind of holding their phone sort of, around their chest, sort of, over their heart. And and it was just actively scanning as they were walking. And, you would get a vibration or an audible kind of prompt if it detected any kind of Navilens code anywhere, from, I think it was, I don't know, several yards, maybe 10, 15
Mhm.
yards away, or I think they measure it in meters, 13 meters or less. And, which that makes it a lot more applicable when you're out and about than the QR codes, which are, you had to be quite close to scan those. But it's like, why can't I just have my camera open at all times, or some way that won't eat my battery, but some way to just constantly be scanning and tell me which app to open, or this type of code is detected. And it's like, if we're going to have all these different codes, okay, fine, but then we need to have something that is going to be able to identify them and tell
Yes.
us what code it is.
Yeah, and we have to know where to find it, right? Like that's what you're basically talking about. When and where is it? Like
Yes.
when is
Yes.
it available and where the heck is it so that I can actually go and scan it? I was in an interview the other day talking about accessible menus and things like that, where apparently there's a lot of restaurants that have QR codes on the table or somewhere where people can bring up the menu. And it's like, okay, that's a great idea. If the web page is accessible, that's fantastic. But how do I even know it exists?
Exactly, exactly. How do I know there is a QR code in my area or vicinity? In the same way, I can't tell you how many times I have run my camera, my phone over a user manual, for anything, an instruction manual for an appliance, a device, anything in my home. If there's something that has a manual, kid's toy, something like that. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten my phone, scanned it over, just praying I'm coming across a QR code that's going to take me to a digital manual, so that I can at least zoom into it and see it. Sometimes it'll find one and sometimes it doesn't, but I have no idea. I don't know when there's a QR code on a manual, and I don't know it when I'm out in the
Yeah.
community at a restaurant, at somewhere new. Yeah. How do you know?
Yeah, and that's a design problem, I think that I
Mm.
don't know, UX designers need to uh I don't know, think about and try to solve.
I was thinking, I think that could be addressed by this universal standards.
Mhm.
Just making sure that, okay, if you want your restaurant, it, for example, some restaurants will claim, oh, we're fully inclusive and we're fully accessible. We have Braille labels or Braille menus. I'm like, okay, most people in the low vision and blind spectrum community can't read Braille. So that's
Mhm.
great that you have a Braille menu, but that's still not accessible for me.
And those
And
low vision menus are usually not big enough for me to see.
right, right. And so I'm like, okay, to truly claim inclusiveness and claim accessibility, why don't we make a standard? Then you need to have a QR code that takes you to your menu, and that be the standard for every restaurant, so that
Mhm.
when we go to a place, it's just, we just like, I'm dreaming of the day where I can go to a store, to a restaurant, to anywhere. Excuse me, where's the QR code for this location? And be able to
Mm.
pull up their website, the manual, the list of services, their menu, whatever the pertinent information
What
is.
would be cool also, one thing is those Braille and low vision menus are usually outdated, have the wrong prices, even have the wrong items. It's
Yes,
true. But
yes.
also, one day I can imagine you just like go and sit down at a restaurant and you get a notification. Hey, here's the menu. Do you want to see the menu for this location?
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. Man, we're throwing out lots of ideas out here. I hope the world is listening, because there's
You should
lots of
start
really,
charging.
I know, right? Can't
No, actually
copyright
not
these
really.
ideas. So, any developers out there, you need to include us in on the process.
Oh my goodness. I think that even QR codes both in the store And once like, if you've shopped online and you receive it, when you get a box, sometimes you've ordered multiple things. Okay. Especially because I get my groceries online, right? And I do
Same,
household goods and order them online.
same.
Um, and like when you're digging through all that, sometimes you can identify it because I still have some vision, and then other times it's like, okay, these kind of feel the same, these could be many different things. If it has the QR code or something, then it would be so much easier to just use that, you know?
Right, right. I totally agree.
Can you think of any other solutions or even just adaptations that people can use for retail products?
Going back to clothes, I know, this is one of those areas that I feel like a lot of individuals across the disabled community struggle with when it comes to clothing. Sometimes they don't have an actual tag, things are going tagless. And so I'm like, okay, well,
Mhm.
then how can I modify this garment so I understand what color it is, what pattern it is, or whatever the case may be, that's not going to show up in when I'm wearing it doesn't like disrupt the way it lays or anything like that.
Mhm.
There's lots of new adaptive wear lines that have recently launched. Tommy Hilfiger has their adaptive line. Two Blind Brothers has Braille embroidered onto their fabrics. So there's lots of really great companies that are popping up that have adaptive lines. And I think promoting and supporting them, these small businesses that are really starting to get noticed in the world of whatever niche they're in, whether it's clothing, whether it's beauty, whether it's just common household products, personal care. I remember the days back when even your prescription bottles all looked the same, all the caps were the
Mhm.
same. And now, CVS has partnered up and they have their accessible ways of being able to read your prescriptions, all the lids to prescriptions. Some you can turn them over. So like one is it's just easy to screw off if you have fine motor issues. But if you have children, you can flip it over and on the other side is the child safety cap. I feel like there's lots of really great measures that's been taken. There's a lot of design elements that I think can be taken one step farther
Yes.
or adapted from maybe another company, share the ideas, share the creativity. Let's address accessibility and not gatekeep it.
One thing I encourage is make things more universal.
Yeah.
Each company wants to make it their own way, which is great, right? Like, and I think there's still space to do that kind of thing, to have your own twist. But
Hmm.
can we at least have like a baseline that's universal? That's the thing. And then if you want to innovate further than that, then okay. But I just feel like every company wants to go a different direction.
Yeah.
We came from like the age where people who are blind or visually impaired, they carried around so many different gadgets, right? There was a color reader, a book player, a GPS, a this and a that and another thing, right? And
Hmm.
now we're trying to all consolidate that into one phone. But now it's to the point where you have a gazillion different apps.
Right.
Are we back to the same idea of it being
Yeah.
so fragmented?
Yes.
Even though it's still on, at least it's still on one device, right? But still, even though it's still on that one device, it would be nice to be able to have one app that you prefer for all the specific needs in that type of category instead of like indoor navigation. It's like every time I turn around, there's like a new app for navigation. I'm just like, it's just frustrating where not everything is on one app and you have to go between the different ones.
And maybe there are some intellectual properties here that you know um, apps are trying to protect and such, and that's the justification for having a gazillion different apps because they all kind of approach it slightly differently. They have their own intellectual property and such,
Mhm.
and AI coding and such of achieving things, and they might yield results in a slightly different way that whichever the case may be. But then can we have one universal app then that we just have open at all times that we can say, okay, it
Yeah,
might
and it
be
can pull from all the different apps. That's one thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like that interface, that platform that's
Mhm.
linked into all the
Yeah.
apps and tells you exactly, okay, oh, you're in this location, they use this app for navigation. Oh, you're at this
Mhm.
restaurant, they're using this type of coding to access their services or menu. I mean, it's almost like, can we have one standard universal thing then that is going to unify all of these intellectual properties then if we're not able to get them all to merge?
It kinda makes me think of TV, right? Smart
Exactly, that's what
TV,
I was thinking
where
of.
you have lots of different apps, but it's all on that one TV.
Exactly. Speaking of that, so we have the Amazon Fire TV Cube and such. And so yeah, we have all the different streaming apps and stuff, and you're able to access all of those individual apps and platforms from the interface on the TV Cube. But the Echo shows also have a camera and a display, and Amazon is supposed to, through their Echo shows, you're supposed to be able to also scan product labels, and it's supposed to identify the product for you
It's a
and then
show
all
and
that
tell.
stuff.
Mhm.
But I have found so
Mm,
much issue with it. It is so glitchy. Half the time I
yes.
cannot get it to focus on the label, and or it
Mhm.
reads the wrong product to me. So I
Yes.
feel like there's still a lot of work to be done on Amazon's. So it's kind of like, while it's great that they rolled it out, they will roll it out prematurely and then it's unreliable. And then I'm left
Mhm.
feeling frustrated that they have not fully executed this potentially
Yes.
great accessibility service. And so next thing you know, I'm like, okay, well, I know this exists. I know the capability is there.
Are you gonna use it? Probably not.
Exactly, exactly. I'm probably not gonna use it, and now I'm left with a negative
Yes.
association with that.
Yes. We won't
So
even get into Amazon. I'm actually working on a video where I review another Amazon product, which I am not very happy with. And even the Fire tablets, while they're very cheap,
mhm,
they have their own problems. It's again the problem of companies wanting to do their own thing, and when it comes to accessibility, which is a problem that Amazon has and a problem that Samsung has, and
yes,
it's really frustrating when it doesn't work as well as you expect it to.
yeah, and they don't fully do their due diligence and fully research
Mm,
the full, I guess, scope of accessibility, and they roll it out prematurely
yeah.
thinking that they're complete, done a good job, or oh, we'll just release some software updates, to fix any glitches that might come up along the way. And then you're like, but no, you've already lost the audience the first go around. If it's not fully accessible and ready right out of the gate, then don't launch it until it's fully ready, because then we're left with this really frustrating experience. And it shows us too that, like, oh, you're trying but you don't really care because you didn't do your due diligence. You did not test
Mm,
the user experience. You didn't fully execute. Here's an accessibility option but it's glitchy and it doesn't work. That makes you so frustrated, and so the last thing
mhm,
you want to do is to continue supporting that brand or that launch or that app or that design when you already
mhm.
have such a terrible experience with it right out of the gate.
It would have almost been better for them to just not come out with anything like that.
Until they're fully ready.
Yes.
They've done their research and they've done
Mhm,
their due diligence. They've completely beta tested not just able body, non-disabled individuals, but trained disabled individuals who can explain, this is the issue with this product, with this design, with this yada yada yada. It's not, it's not working right with my assistive technology, or this is the issue when I use my assistive technology. Why all of a sudden, like, oh, look, I can see the instructions, but now I no longer have access to this part of your packaging, or whatever the case may be. Yeah.
yeah.
I wish they would just not roll it out until they fully covered all their bases.
I completely agree.
Oh, and then claim that they are fully inclusive and accessible. Look, we have this fully accessible product, or we have this fully accessible, line and packaging of design. No, you don't. No,
Mhm.
sorry, you don't. You're not there yet. So
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of work to be done, though there are definitely strategies and different solutions that I think we've gone over. One thing that we didn't even mention, I don't think, is using something like Be My Eyes or Ira if you have it. One thing that Be My Eyes has is specialized help. So they connect with companies, whether it's like Crest or Herbal Essence and I can't think. There's a whole bunch depending on your area that they connect with an actual customer service agent from that company to help you specifically with their products, which is actually a really great thing, I think. And it's not just a volunteer or a trained agent, but it's somebody who knows the product, which is another solution as well.
and then if they encounter an issue, you're already speaking with them directly and they can pass that
Hmm.
feedback down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. But this has been such an amazing conversation.
Yes, I hope everyone has enjoyed it and learned something as much as we have.
Thank you so much, Cindy. I'm really excited to be doing a video with you on your channel, which again, for the audience out there, if you want to go watch that, it's going to be in the description and in the pinned comment, and also probably popping up on your screen right now. Thank you so much, Cindy, for joining me today. It was such a pleasure. Really quickly, can you just tell them what all your handles are so they can find you?
Absolutely. So let's see, on Instagram, I'm seeing_blind101. Facebook, I believe, is the same. Here on YouTube, you can search Seeing Blind, or maybe Seeing Blind with Cindy. My channel will most likely pop up. And TikTok is Seeing Blind. So yeah, you can check me out. I also have a Linktree that just kind of catches everything and also has quick links to all things Seeing Blind. So that is Linktree, Seeing Blind as well. So yeah, and I'm so looking forward, Carrie, to continuing this conversation as well into the entertainment and shopping sector, inside and outside the home as well. I think there's so much we can talk for weeks on this
I
topic.
think
So I
you
can't
and me,
wait to do
Cindy, we
that.
could just sit down and just talk and not stop talking.
We're going to solve the disabled world problems.
All right, everybody. Oh, if you have an idea of what I or Cindy or together or with other guests could talk about with in terms of accessibility, leave those in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and we will see you in another video. Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Bye. Also, what was the other problem that I was thinking of? Um, oh, yeah, I'm really excited about that Estee Lauder app. I've seen.
English,
That's what
English,
Joseph
so
says. So I'm
complicated.
like, I don't know, it got into my head. I, and I always correct him every time. I'm like, you've seen. And then now I'm like, I've sawn. And it's like, oh my goodness. Okay. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah.